Welcome, everybody, to Den Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. This is episode 165, Blast to the Past, taking it back to 2008. Talking about Iron Man. I'm your host,
Hell
Ricky.
yeah.
With me, of course, is Dennis.
Yeah, I don't wait for the introduction. I just go straight to hell yeah. um yeah. Well, welcome back. We took a week off, right?
Our first show of the year?
Nope, it's not.
Oh,
We
I
did
already forgot.
we did our year in review
we did.
on the
You're
2nd
right.
of January.
Our
Yes.
first normal show.
I guess. I mean, it wasn't
I mean,
that special, but
a lot of
yes.
shit happened. So
A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks for sure. Definitely the world is on fire, or at least the LA area. The TikTok ban goes into effect in about 3 days.
I'm not. I don't use TikTok, so I don't think it affects me.
Um. Okay. All right. I use TikTok. I know a lot of people that make a decent amount of money.
Oh,
Uh,
we're definitely not one of those people.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I still have sympathy for the people that are about to lose a main source of revenue.
For
Like
sure.
it's a crazy time right now. A lot of people are jumping onto other apps that are just to stick it in the face of the U.S. government. It's quite a
It's kind of
funny time.
hilarious, though. Yeah, we live in weird times.
We definitely live in
We
weird
are
times.
getting closer and closer to the Demolition Man future.
This is true. This is true.
Which I guess is a good thing.
I guess that's a good thing. Yeah, no, but I think going forward in the new year, I think we had to talk about what we wanted to do with the show, and I think as much as we still like talking about any and everything that comes out, I think there's a big hole missing since we started the show. Right around WandaVision, we never talked like officially about all the movies that happened from phase 1 to 3, right? So
Yeah,
this is our chance to do that now that whenever there's kind of a little bit of a lull. I wouldn't say there's no content out right now. There
we've gone
is.
back for some, but we watched
Have
Ant-Man.
we?
We watched Ant-Man 2. Didn't we?
I don't know. Maybe we did. Maybe.
I mean, we don't have that big of a gap in content. We got a new Spider-Man in end of the month.
Well, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And Harley Quinn just came out today as well.
Yeah, that's also a thing.
You
We
didn't
also
watch
got
it.
we got a
I know you
new
didn't.
we got a Captain America movie next month, and then we got a Daredevil the month after.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of stuff, but I think the promise is whenever we don't have something special to talk about, we're powering through
It's this year's X-Men. That's what it is.
What is
For us? Yeah, because we did all the X-Men last year.
Oh yeah, I think sure. We're just finally gonna tackle the MCU. I think we hit a lot of the movies that weren't MCU, and I know you still have that other Fantastic Four on your wish list.
We will watch that movie.
I've seen that movie. You will watch that movie. I'll just keep enjoying episodes of Harley Quinn. How about that?
Okay.
But what have you been nerding out on? I mean, you were just telling me before the show you're safe from the fires right now. Good, that's good to hear. What else you got? What have you been nerding out on?
Well, I just finished watching the first episode of Severance season 2.
Don't spoil it for me.
Spoilers are back in the office. Did
you see they did a pop-up experience?
I did. It very reminiscent of the Comic-Con thing a few years ago.
Yeah.
That's a cool show. And the first episode picks up right where it left off. So it's cool to jump back in. I will say I'm glad they did like what happened previously, because like that show's like 3 years old.
Yeah.
Forgot some of the minor stuff that happened.
It's a long time to go between seasons for sure. I'm very excited, but as we've said multiple times on the show, my plan is wait till the whole season's done, then I'll re-up my Apple subscription for a month.
You still pay for Max?
I decline to say.
Fair enough. What else have I been doing? Caught up on some games this year. Fortnite has a Miku season. And if you can see, I have a Miku up on that shelf somewhere. So that felt like inevitable. So it's just finally cool to see her in the game.
Yeah.
That game just gets
Hatsune
crazier.
Hatsune
Miku.
For anybody who isn't
Vocaloid pop star.
I've seen her in concert.
Puts on a good show.
It's a weird, it was an interesting thing for sure.
Other than that, not much. I was out of the country I've been out of the country for most of this year, which is, I guess, a cool thing to say.
Okay, you can't say that for much longer, but sure.
You can't say that for much longer. So I was enjoying not being here for an extended period of time.
Fun in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
How about you? Well, how's your 2025 treating you?
Pretty cool. It's I think I told you like 2 weeks ago I had just picked up the Hades clone featuring the Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Splintered Fate is the name of the
Yep.
subtitle of that game. My wife and I just beat the final version of that
Shredder,
of that run, whatever, the other day. We're still playing it daily because we just enjoy doing, getting a run in there every now and then. So that's a really fun game. I do wish there was more content in it. It's definitely a light version of Hades. There's not a lot going on in it. But the other thing I picked up was really weird. Like I hopped on, well, one, I did watch the Abbott Elementary crossover with Sunny in Philadelphia last week.
Was it good?
It was so good. I can't wait for the other side of that crossover.
Okay, yeah, so it is a 2-episode thing, one with them and the other
one on the other show, but the other show hasn't started their new season yet. They haven't even announced when it's starting. I'm going to guess late February at the earliest. So it's kind of poor timing for the crossover to not air, in the same week, but that's fine. It's still really funny, and like if you've never watched Sunny in Philadelphia, I think it still works as a good episode of Abbott. But if you have watched Sunny in Philadelphia, they are very toned down, rightfully so. The characters they need to.
I saw they removed Dennis very quickly. For probably
it's so funny, like how they write him out of the show. Apparently, he was actually doing a show for Netflix at the time, so they only had him for a half day. So they used him. They used him as much as they could. He does appear in other parts of the episode, but it's pretty clever. Honestly, the show's better for not including Dennis Reynolds in it.
Yeah, it becomes a criminal.
I mean, he is the most criminal of them all for sure. But no, that was really entertaining. And then the other day, I think I was hopping on Max to find something to watch, and it recommended a show that had just got added to the library that I had always wanted to watch. It was an old Cinemax show, and I never had Cinemax back in the day when it was on. Banshee. Have you ever heard of it?
No, that sounds familiar.
It is the star of it is Anthony Starr, aka Homelander. It's the show he did before The Boys.
Is it good?
It feels like it's written by a 12-year-old boy.
Yes.
In all the best ways.
Oh,
it's like it's all just action and sex. Just constantly action and sex, and it's hilarious because like the violence, the fight choreography feels like they hired somebody from the WWE, because they will like use every prop in a room like for their fights, and then like the sex is like something out of like the 70s or something, where it's just like he can just go and say hello to a person, cut to next scene, in bed, sex, and you're like, and then he won't even find out that person's name, because like you assume that there's like introductions that occur between the two scenes, but there is not. Somehow he makes it all the way to open his front door, get inside, get undressed without ever introducing himself to these human beings. It's but it's a super fun show. I've gotten pretty addicted to it. I've been watching it for like about 2 weeks now, and it's like I just started the 4th season. It's the final season, and it's funny. It's just really a fun action. It's a man show. You know what I mean? It's just a man show. Like it's a guy. It's about a jewel thief that gets out of prison, and he somehow stumbles upon a situation where the new sheriff in town has just arrived in town. Nobody knows him, and he gets violently murdered. And so he decides to assume his identity. So it's literally a new sheriff in town trope, but with a full-on ex-con pretending to be the sheriff, and he just does justice his own way, and it's as stereotypical as you could ever want it to be, but it's super fun.
I'm not enticed. But
you're not enticed? Even after I told you all the sex?
No.
Really, it's so much sex. It's a lot. It's a Skinamax show.
Did you finish Hard Pivot? Did you finish Skeleton Key or Skeleton Crew?
I finished Skeleton Crew. There's way less sex in that show.
Yes, there is.
That's me hard pivoting back. I didn't love it. It was okay. It was.
I think I was waiting for like more. one more scene after the ending, but I think I enjoyed Feel Good Star Wars. I that show's fun. I think that show works really well because there wasn't. I think all the kids equally pull their weight, along with Jude Law.
And I think Jude Law carries that show
for sure.
I think
he is the anchor.
I think the kids. I barely remember all 4 of their names. Just barely. They're there on the tip of my tongue. I got it. Give me a week and I'll forget their names.
I mean, how can you forget Neil?
I can't forget Neil.
Neil's the best part of that. Having a character like that for the duration of the entire show, I think is a really cool thing. I wish Star Wars would do that more. Like notoriously, I feel like there's no aliens in Star Wars sometimes for convenience sake.
Yeah, for convenience sake. I do think I liked the Acolyte more than this show. I do think that the Acolyte was daring to do something really brave and new. And yeah, they might have fumbled the ball a little bit, but
it's not coming back.
I know. For now.
This show apparently did worse numbers wise than the Acolyte. So
okay.
Who knows if this will come back? But we're due for Andor. Andor's like in a month or so, anyways, too.
Yeah. I feel like we could pump the brakes a little bit on Star Wars content for sure. I think it's a bit too often is what we get it.
I mean, after Andor, what do you got? You just got the movie next, right?
Sure, I guess until they surprise us in May with a whole laundry list of other things that we don't
I will say at the end of Skeleton Crew, I'm like, man, if a Cara Dune still existed in this universe, probably be a good point for her to pop up.
Sure, yeah. I just didn't care enough that I didn't need it to connect to the other universe. So like,
I'm happy that it didn't aside from that pirate
that one pirate that got away,
like a C-tier pirate.
He got away, right? Like at the end of Mandalorian, he's the one that lived, right? Yeah. He makes no mention of any of his previous exploits either.
It's just a pirate doing pirate stuff.
You know, it'd be cool if we spun him off onto his own show where he becomes the sheriff of some planet, and then he's just totally banging aliens all day long, every day. It'd be great. You got to watch Banshee, Ricky. It's really fun.
I'm not going to watch Banshee. I'm not going to.
Really, Anthony Starr. You get to see all the Homelander faces, but before Homelander, it's pretty good.
I don't want that. Yeah.
He's a good actor, man. He carries that show. Like for the first season, there's like nobody famous in it besides him, and then as each season goes on, they're like, oh, people seem to like the show. All right, let's start putting people in. I just saw David Harbour show up in the last episode. He totally bangs. No, I'm just kidding. There's there's significantly less sex in the later 2 seasons for sure. Like they're like, okay, we got an audience. We don't need to do this anymore just to keep ratings up. You know what? But no. All right, I'm done selling Banshee to you. It's fine. I'm glad you like Skeleton Crew. I thought it was a passable Goonies clone. It's serviceable as a Goonies, homage, whatever.
Goonies like.
Goonies like, yeah. It's like the splintered fate of Goonies. Sure, it's fun. I just don't care enough about those characters, those kids. They just didn't charm me enough. Like I will agree, Neil is the best one because he's so interesting to look at and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, it just wasn't doing anything for me. So I watched it because I knew you'd ask me, and I figured it's only fair if I make you watch Harley Quinn that I watched.
I didn't live my end of the deal.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh, for sure. Well, should we get into some news?
Well, before I mean, I can at least still tell you I enjoyed Harley Quinn. The new season came out today, since we're not going to talk about it anywhere else. The girls have moved to Metropolis, and there's a whole episode like that takes place in like a Superman museum, and Aisha Tyler plays Bruce Wayne's new girlfriend, who is Lena Luthor, and she's awesome. She seems to be the new antagonist or protagonist. I don't know what she is. She's probably the bad guy. And yeah, there's a Superman museum, and they jam pack that museum with so many Easter eggs. It's really fun. It's I just like that after 4 seasons of doing just like as many Gotham Easter eggs as they possibly could, they're at least pivoting. Now, if you don't find the show particularly entertaining, it's no different than it was before. I do miss the other characters. There's no Dr. Psycho still. Like this, I definitely feel the quality of the show.
Their cast of surrounding characters have gotten progressively worse each season.
Agreed. And so I'm still waiting for King Shark and Clayface to show up, but the Riddler makes an appearance with the Clock King in the first episode, and it's pretty funny. But yeah, no, it's more of the same, and I know this is the final season, right? Like this is it. Like, pretty sure.
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be, right? So, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for the 22 minutes that it was on TV today, and if you like Harley Quinn and Ivy, and you like seeing a strong relationship depicted between 2 women on screen, it's pretty awesome for that. Like it's a cool thing to see. Like they are definitely 2 dysfunctional human beings, but they make their relationship the priority, and it's a really cool thing to watch. And they were still living at Catwoman's place at the beginning of it, so that was the inciting reason for them to leave, is like, we still live at her place. Like it's. But yeah, they do a little Oracle and Gotham City Sirens like nod in the beginning of the episode. They're checking off boxes whenever they can. So
I like that movie, Birds of Prey.
The Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
that was an interesting pivot there.
Yeah.
Have we never talked about that one on the show?
I don't think we did.
Okay,
but that's pre WandaVision.
Yeah,
that'd be a fun one to go back to. Definitely not the low point of the TCEU.
It's not the low point. It's pretty close to the low point, but it's okay. It's okay. All right, well, fine. I'm done talking about that. Before we switch to the news, though, do you want to talk about Creature Commandos? Did you like it? Did you like how it ended?
I like the ending. I will say what weirded me out the most, and it's a nerd nitpick, was when Amanda Waller wakes up or whatever, or she has to like call the Suicide Squad or call the Creature Commandos, tell them like, don't kill this lady. Like, why don't you just kill him? Right? Like, she can kill him at any moment. Just kill him. That's, to me, like, Amanda Waller showing compassion but not even showing compassion in that moment. It's just like, you're a man.
I feel you.
Just kill him.
I feel you. Yeah, if it was really urgent to stop them and you had no way of getting a hold of them, you could hit the button. Yeah,
You can hit the button.
I feel you.
And that broke more of the show for me. But I like Nina's backstory. I like that. I liked how they fleshed her out. James Gunn good at making tragic backstories for his characters.
Tragic freaks, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I love that it was like a Nina episode for the finale.
It felt weird for it to be her episode and then for her to, spoilers, die.
Yeah.
I
like the new team. I don't know if I don't want G.I. Robot back, but sure, he's back.
They didn't get Sylvester Stallone to be King Shark.
Well, he's busy being Trump's like Hollywood gateway now. You didn't see that news? Trump's gonna bring back Hollywood, and Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone, and John Vaught are gonna be like his surrogates in Hollywood.
Okay.
Okay.
But no, I will say, like, the thing that really bummed me out about that episode was Frankenstein. Like, I feel like he was played for nothing. Like, you know what I mean? When like we were building up to a confrontation the entire show, and then when it finally happened, she just shot him, and that was it.
I like that. I didn't like that he's back. Like, let him die, or let him.
He can't die. He's Frankenstein. He's a monster.
He can die. They can kill him. Let him stay dead.
Overall, I was just kind of meh on the show. I was entertained. Don't get me wrong. I was entertained, but I think, like, I can't help but have that part of my brain that's saying, like, okay, this is part of a larger universe. And what I saw was a Frankenstein that's just basically like, he's not a great dude. There's not a lot of redeeming qualities to him right now. You know what I mean? Like, he misses the point at every interaction that he has, and they just play him for jokes.
Yeah, well, that's why I would want him dead. I think they could have killed him there. It would have been fine. I
just think for everybody else to be like, to have these interesting character backstories, I just kept waiting for Frankenstein's to matter. And, you know, they did get renewed for season 2, so maybe he gets an arc that actually helps. But yeah, I just wasn't intrigued enough by the overall story. Like, it just ended up being a very small story, right? It's just like, hey, we were sent there to protect the princess. Then we were sent there to protect her again, and then we found out we're supposed to kill her. And that's the story. That's it. That's the plot of the show. You know what I mean? Like, so it didn't have a lot going on that made me interested. It did do some minor world building in the background. You know, like, we got to know the Amazons exist. We got to know Batman exists. We got to know, we got to see Clayface for a minute, make us believe he's dead.
They brought in more heavy hitters than I would have thought that show would have had.
Yeah.
So,
but
kudos for that.
Yeah, I just wished it would have been. I don't know. I feel you. I feel you on the Amanda Waller part. It just didn't feel consistent with the Waller we know, and it just felt like the only reason we're keeping them alive is because they're the main characters of the show. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that part. Because all the other Suicide Squad movies, they had to, like, get dirt on Waller. They had to have something over her to prevent her from pressing the button, right? And, like, these people didn't have shit on Waller. You know what I mean? They just happened to, I guess, have her.
They're not even, like, people.
Yeah, in her book. Like,
yeah, they're not even people.
Yeah. Except in the eyes of the law, which is why that robot got incarcerated in the first place. So legally they are.
GI Robot, man. Nepo hire continues.
Nepo hire. All right, there you go. Now we got those ones out of the way as promised. Those were things I wanted to talk about. And as a bonus, we did a deep dive on Banshee. But no, let's do the news now. I'm ready.
Well, let's just take it from the top. Diamond Comics, the distributors, they announced they are filing for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That's a big one, right? So they, for lack of a better phrase, they're the ones who distribute the actual comic books to comic book stores.
Comics and games and toys and stuff that are, yeah, that's how they get to the comic stores. Like, as a comic store owner, what you do every month is you look at your diamond solicitation, and they'll give you like previews. That's what it's called, previews, like of comics coming out in a few months from now. They'll give you little descriptions of the stories, and then you can gauge how many you think you should order, and then you order them through Diamond. So they're the middleman between Marvel and DC and Dark
But
Horse.
the writing's been on the wall for a little bit, because at least for Marvel and DC, they've spun off their stuff onto their own distribution.
Yeah, when COVID happened, I think they started handling some of their own distribution as well. Yeah, for sure. And then obviously they've been pivoting towards their digital platforms as well, like offering exclusive content there to get people, moving away.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's rough. It's rough to watch print die in any form. But I mean, at the same time,
to be fair, Chapter 11 is not necessarily the end.
Right. Yes.
So nothing will probably change for the foreseeable future, but
most likely Opus Clip will cut this part of it out, so we'll just look like the morons.
So time will tell how long Diamond will be a thing.
Yes, yeah, but it is it's at least a signal of bad things to come for sure. So it's not a good thing. Businesses really try not to file for Chapter 11 unless they truly have to. So yeah, it's a bummer. What else you
got? Coming back, I think this is gonna break the record for the longest gap in return to the MCU. But after 17 years, Raza Hamidi Al-Wazar, he is the 10 Rings leader from Iron Man 1, which we just watched.
Yeah.
He is coming back for the new Vision show, codenamed Vision Quest. Later, I think they're filming this year, and then show that comes out next year. So he is back in some capacity. He didn't technically die in the movie.
No, he didn't die. He got paralyzed by the.
He got paralyzed.
Yeah.
But he didn't die.
He didn't die.
If you wait 17 years, he might get to come back at the MCU.
That's pretty crazy.
It's funny because he beats out not Blake Lively. What's her name? From the Hulk.
Oh, not Jennifer Connelly. Yeah, Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler. He beats out Liv Tyler, who would have had the record for coming back.
Because of What If? Because of What If?
No, because of live action, but Brave New World.
Oh, is Liv Tyler in Brave New World?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Thanks for spoiling that one for me. I didn't know. I just thought because she came back in What If, like last year, right?
Mm.
2 years ago, or it was the first season or the second season?
It was the first season, yeah.
It was, right?
Episode. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, good for him and good for her too. Like I think certain characters
that to me, yeah, it fulfills the promise of the MCU, right?
I think he's interesting enough, in that first movie, and we'll talk more about it in a few minutes, but like he's interesting enough that I don't mind seeing more from him. Like they did set him up to be like the red herring bad guy of Iron Man, and then like he just unceremoniously exits the movie halfway through, and you're like, oh, so you're not the bad guy? Okay, cool. I mean, yeah, it's obvious, it's obvious that Obadiah is, but yeah, it's cool. I'm happy for it, because I mean, even Ben Kingsley got to come back multiple times, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and so sure, let's let an actual bad guy, come back. That's kind of cool. Like, it's better than Ben Kingsley. Cool.
Sure.
All right. Yeah.
Next bit of news. Speaking of Blake Lively, the Justin Baldoni, their lawsuit's heating up, and he's basically requesting material from Marvel Studios because the rumor is the Nice Pool character is based on Baldoni himself. It's a joke character, and the joke is him. There's like specific comments that Nice Pool makes about being like a feminist with a podcast and other
and like the deleted scenes and stuff. Yeah.
kind of, yeah. So all of that's getting brought to light in there in his basically legal battle with Blake Lively.
That's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not saying it's ridiculous that if that's true, like what I'm saying is it's just like, oh God, why did you even, if that's true, why put that in your movie? Don't do that. Like that's the part I find ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like if that's really what he was doing, like you're tainting the whole experience, sir. Like just don't do that. Don't mix your business with your other business. It's weird. It's weird. Okay, cool. I was like trying to figure out how you were going to tie that into our big news, and then you did it, and I'm like, yeah, I feel bad.
And then last bit of news. Speaking of mixing business, we got a trailer for Daredevil Born Again, showing him Matt Murdock. A lot of Matt Murdock in that trailer. Not a lot of Daredevil in that trailer.
11 million views as of today, as of a couple hours ago. 11 million views. I think people are ready for this show. They want this back. I saw Bullseye in there too.
Bullseye. There's
I think White Tiger. I saw White Tiger. I'm pretty sure.
R.I.P. White Tiger.
Did the actor die?
Yeah, he died like 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know who plays him.
I don't know either.
Okay. Well, the good thing is the White Tiger is a mantle that gets passed down from generation to generation. So it's okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he died. He wasn't.
I'm saying that character can die in the story.
That's I only know the female White Tiger
from the cartoon.
Yeah.
Hector Ayala, I believe, is the original one in the comics.
And Jenna Ortega was rumored to be the next White Tiger.
Cool. That works. I like it. That trailer, how was it for you?
That show's violent in a good way.
It was violent.
Matt Murdock,
seeing the Disney Plus logo at the end of that was weird.
Beat some people down. I hope it is an R show.
I've heard it's the most brutal depiction of Daredevil that they've done so today.
Echo. I liked Echo. That was like the reason why I think Echo stood out to me last year was it is a very new territory for them to have that type of content. And aside from being just an outlier in the MCU, that was a very adult story for the most part, even though it kind of gets a little magical at the end. You're dealing with some heavy shit in that story. So if this can be like the MCU's version of Andor, I'm all for it. Right?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be the MCU's version of Daredevil is what it's going to be, and I think it's just going to be more of what we want, because I think Netflix, they did all right with the violence. They did a pretty good job, but like there definitely still felt like there might have been some punches pulled every now and then, especially when it came to the Punisher and the swearing and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, man, I didn't feel like there were very many punches being pulled in this trailer, and it just cracks me up. Frank's back too, like the Punisher's back, and he is on a Disney Plus show, man, and that's wild to me.
Knowing what we know, because it's not the same New York, right? The New York they live in is populated by other people. When does it get weird when other people don't show up?
It depends on the story being told. Like how they tell the story matters. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. So I don't know. Like I can't, there's no blanket rule. You know what I mean? Like the Penguin obviously reached its threshold by the last couple episodes of the show,
When
right?
you
It's
blow up
like,
part of the city, that's
yeah,
when.
it's like, come on, you blew up a city block. Where's Batman? You know, like that's so I think it's fair to have a different gauge for every
Mhm.
scenario. You know, like I don't want to go in like, you know, with the famous Ricky, I'm gonna be pissed if, you know, like Spider-Man doesn't swing in there and save the day. Like it just make it make sense, you know what I mean? Because I think the Iron Man 3 situation's a little questionable for a lot of people,
Yeah,
right? Like,
for sure.
yeah, like that's the president of the United States getting abducted and only Iron Man saves him. Like weird. But you know, in the context of if Wilson Fisk is the mayor,
Isn't the
there's
Purple Man like his side piece? Not side piece, but right hand man in that story, technically.
when he's the mayor.
Yeah.
I don't recall. Like I don't know if I read that storyline.
Mhm.
That's the mayor thing's more recent. That's not from Born Again for sure.
Yeah, okay.
But in general, Bullseye is his right hand man, like most of the time. So I'm really excited if they're gonna put Bullseye in the actual costume. Like that's make it cool. Ryan Meinerding makes everything look cool, right? Like he makes every costume looks good.
They gave us when they gave us the yellow suit, they have the tease right of all the different cows for Daredevil.
Yeah.
You gotta live up to it. I need to see it.
But I'm interested to see a Bullseye that in the MCU. That's going to be cool.
Huh.
But no, I'm super excited for that trailer. I surprisingly only watched it once today. That's it. I might watch it a few more times later. But yeah, there's definitely some bones breaking in that season, that
Yep.
trailer.
You don't have to wait long. March 4th.
March 3rd, right? March 3rd?
4th. Well,
4th? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. I'll wait. But we got a Spider-Man coming out before that, right?
Yeah, we have a Spider-Man cartoon coming
Is
out
that
2 weeks into the month.
Okay, cool. Are you excited for that one?
No. No. I don't like the cell shading.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not going to try and sell you on the animation if you don't like the animation. Yeah, like, I'm just happy you liked X-Men. That's it. That's I'll take the wins I can get. All right, if that's all the news, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it. (2008's) Iron Man. 17 years ago, the MCU was born.
I just want to point out how like we are on episode 165 of this show. We have done 165 episodes of the show, and I promise you, at least 20 of those episodes, we have referenced 2008 as being the year where everything
It's
changed,
the
right?
BC.
It is
BCAC or BMAM, I think is what we called it.
but it's not really just about Marvel, right? Like I just want to paint the picture. This is the same year that freaking The Dark Knight came out, a month after Iron Man, like a month.
We got an
Like,
Iron Man,
a Hulk.
We got the Dark Knight, okay Hulk movie. What else? Didn't Jonah Hex come out that year?
I think the Punisher Warzone came out that year too.
Oh yeah, it did.
Okay. No, but I think it's a pretty crazy year to think about like what happened, because just the year before this was Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And like that's crazy. That's crazy to me that Spider-Man 3 was
I'll list them off for you. We had Hancock that year, the Spirit, Dark Knight, the Hulk, Iron Man, and Jumper, if you count Jumper. I like Jumper.
Was Warzone not that year?
No. You also had the parody movie, superhero movie.
Oh,
nice.
Nice. No, but I think what's really cool about this year is like for a lot of us, we just when by us I mean comic book fans, like we see this as a turning point in the quality of the quality that we can expect in an adaptation of something from the
I don't
comics.
think that it's we as comic book fans. I think everyone else became aware of what these movies could be. You gotta
Right.
remember, like the Iron Man was.
Well, I'm not speaking for everybody else. I'm
Oh,
speaking for me as a comic book fan.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, like
But
Iron Man,
we were gonna watch these movies regardless. This
but
movie
yes,
opened up for everybody.
but Iron Man became a household name because of how good it was, right?
Yes.
Like that's so like so spoiler warning out of the way, like because it's whatever, it's a 17-year-old movie. Like we're we're not fooling anybody. Like we're just gonna put it out there right away. This movie is excellent. Like this
Mhm.
movie is great. Like from beginning to end, it is a very hard movie for me to find problems with it. And other than like the trope of like the hero fighting a villain version of himself, you know what I mean? Like that wasn't,
No, that was common at that time, though.
it was common at that time. But it kind of works for Iron Man because like a lot of things Iron Man fights in the comics are giant metal men, you know, like it's what he does, you know. Iron Man fights metal men. It's but the movie itself is so strong that Iron Man, this character that only comic book fans had known before, suddenly was like the top tier hero that people wanted to see more of. You know what I mean? And obviously, a lot of that has to do with Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of the character. I think the supporting cast is one of the best supporting casts of any MCU movie to date. And I think John Favreau just like directed the shit out of this movie. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and the other cool thing about this movie is like it exists in a time where Marvel Studios was still trying to get its footing,
Mhm.
so they needed Paramount to help them financially with the movie. So it's co-produced by Paramount, but also like their special effects weren't quite where they wanted it to be. So this movie actually leans on the use of practical effects in
Yeah,
some really cool
it
ways.
looks better in some ways.
In some ways it does, right? Like that scene where Pepper has to change out the arc reactor in his chest,
Mhm.
that is a beautiful scene. I never get tired of watching that scene because like that is a fully practical effect. They did no touch-ups on it at all. And I just love it. I love that scene so much. Um but yeah, no, like I mean, what take me back to you in 2008. How old were you then?
Probably like 14, 15. I was a freshman in high school.
And what was
When
your favorite superhero movie before Iron Man had come out?
before Iron Man had come out, I really I kind of liked Spider-Man 3. Not gonna
So
lie.
last year, so the year before.
You're pro-
So here, no, that's fine. Did Iron Man exceed that for you?
you know, it's funny. It met it, but it didn't exceed it because due circumstances, I had to leave Iron Man basically right when that movie ended. I had to leave the theater. So I did not see the the bit at the end. And
Now,
if you,
in fairness, I do think the bit at the end is really awesome. I don't think it makes the movie that much better. Like I think the movie's awesome without it.
but
But
for whatever reason, for me, once I knew what that bit was, 'cause I think that's what really started my spoiler obsession of trying to figure out everything. Is missing out on that one. It
that's a cool origin story of Ricky.
yeah, it changed things for me, right? They're gonna do the thing. They're gonna try. They're really gonna do the thing. You know, and obviously we were still, what is it, 4 years out from Avengers.
Right. But we were patient at the time because we didn't know how
But
long it was going to take anyways, you know.
they with that inkling did something that no movie prior had even tried to do,
Right.
which
They
is
were already promising
they were,
something.
yeah, they're bringing in another toy, other toys, not
Mhm.
just Iron Man. It's not the Iron Man show. You're gonna get two heroes in one movie, and I think there was something special about that. because it was wishful thinking even then, but to now look back and realize that they did it right. We're now on our second Captain America. We have a freaking Eternals movie. It's crazy, right? It's a whole
It's a
whole
whole
new world we
universe.
live in. Yeah.
It's the whole universe was just blown up from there. And it's a universe that still persists today, you know what I mean? And like
Hmm.
that's the craziest thing about it is we are 17 years deep, 30 some movies. I don't even know how many TV shows, like, you know what I mean? Like the TV shows technically probably outnumber the MCU, right? Like, but just like the amount of programming that's been on TV, probably more content on TV than movie, right?
I
Just
think so.
Daredevil alone, 3 seasons of Daredevil on Netflix is like that was a lot. That was a lot of at the time there was more Daredevil content than the entire MCU when that show came out.
Really? I believe it. Yeah.
It was pretty early, you know. It was like after Avengers, something like that. But maybe it was like on par or something like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, this is the birth of an entire universe. This movie, and like that is a really weird thing to take in as you're rewatching it 17 years later. You can't help but know that you're watching the beginning of something epic happen. You know what I mean? Like, and we know how his story ends, right? Like for
Hmm.
now, right? Like for now, there's no way of knowing if Iron Man actually ever comes back or not. Like, but for now,
Robert's coming back for sure.
I know Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, but I'm saying like for now, like what we've gotten out of this character, the journey, you can't help but watch Iron Man and think in your head of all the other things he does after this movie, right?
Hmm.
Like it's kind of impossible. Like so it makes it hard to separate like this movie from everything else because it's the linchpin, it's everything. And they made a huge gamble on this movie, and they made a huge gamble on Robert Downey Jr., remember? Because like at the time he was like an untouchable actor. Like nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted him. And like John Favreau insisted on this actor because he felt that this actor's life perfectly represented what they needed Iron Man to be, like what they needed Tony Stark to be, because he had literally like every positive and negative moment that had occurred in Robert Downey Jr.'s life had been in the public eye. And
Hmm.
that's what's going on with Iron Man, right? Like all the bad parts and all the good parts, like everybody knows about them and stuff. And so you know, I remember when they cast him and they announced it at Comic-Con, I was like, well, that's perfect, you know? And I just didn't know how perfect it was until I saw the movie. But I still like to this day, like
I mean, it's crazy that you say that, right? I had no idea who Robert Downey Jr. was before this movie,
exactly. You
and
didn't because you weren't old enough to know that
17 years now, there's kids who, oh, he's just Iron Man.
he's just Iron Man, right? He's not that dude that was in Less Than Zero. He's not that one of those crappy one season only Saturday Night Livers. You know what I mean? Like he's not the weird dude from Weird Science. Like that. Like there's so many things he's done. He's not Chaplin, you know, to so many people. Like yeah, it's his life is crazy, you know. Like I'm not trying to dig up old shit, but I remember even as like a young teenager, like turning on or you know watching the news with my parents one day, and Robert Downey Jr. had just gotten arrested because like he had been out on a bender, and like the dude thought he went home and went to bed. Turns out he accidentally stumbled into the neighbor's house and went to bed in their kid's bed, like and it's just like what is that, you know, what is that, like how trashed are you, like, and how like lacking like any sense of where you are do you have to be to end up waking up in some child's bed instead of your own, Like that's not good. That's not good, man. That's a lot of rehab that you need to do, man. So so that's anybody growing up in the 80s just knew Robert Downey Jr. Wow. You know, when he's on, he's really great. You know, he got nominated for an Oscar for Chaplin.
Mhm.
So like he's a really good actor when he's, sober, I guess. I don't know. Like so we just like he was just he's I don't want to say he was the joke. Maybe from his perspective he thinks he was, but like that's how a lot of us knew him. And so like yeah, seeing him just be Iron Man was a very you just knew that had to be a healing moment for him as an
Yeah.
actor, right? Like
Yeah.
and the arc that he got to go on and the character that he got to be and represent for so many children like in the last 17 years of people that have grown up, like he means something to a lot of people. And I think that's super cool. That he got that's his redemption story, right? That's Robert Downey Jr.'s redemption story. And so I think that's probably why a lot of us like sidetrack, side note, a lot of us are scared of him being Doctor Doom, because I would just like to be like Iron Man is the end of his crazy redemption story. Like I would like for him to just go retire and just live out his
I mean,
life like Jack
he can
Nicholson.
retire off that Iron Man money.
I know he can. That's what I'm saying. So, but but this all is separate from the movie itself. Like the movie itself, like it's a pretty cool story. Like it is fun that we got that what if episode, like a week or a couple weeks
Well, it
ago.
also works. I mean, this is still in and around the war in Iraq, right? So they brought his story up to speed.
Right, it was Vietnam in the old comics, I believe. Yeah,
with what's going on, and even in this movie, I think the MCU did a really good job. They populated the world with enough known Marvel quantities, whether it be the 10 rings, Obadiah Stane,
Shield.
Shield, just these bits and pieces that, for better or for worse, in that movie are just one-off side, prop fodder. Right? There's an Iron Man shield or Captain America shield in that movie, right? Like, but they all paid off in some capacity. They all got their due, and
Yeah,
and I think it just makes you appreciate this movie more. And I don't want to say it's hindsight. I would almost bet that none of that shit had a future when they put it in there. But
I don't know.
they did the work to go back in and fill out this world rather than try to start from nothing. They planted those seeds at the get go.
Yeah, I think the other important thing they did too is they like, and this is the thing that was really the most impactful thing for me to on the rewatch, is to recognize that like it's so easy for us to nitpick things all the time in the MCU for being, well, that's not how it is in the comics and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But we were so in awe of Iron Man, even though they zigged constantly when we expected them to zag. Do you know what I mean? Like that movie is constantly telling you we're our own thing. We are not the Iron Man that you're used to seeing. We're going to do it different. This is how we're going to do it. And like the primary way is like the end of that movie, right? The end of that
Mm-hmm.
movie is just, you know what? I am Iron Man, and like, and the craziest part about that is I read that was actually an ad lib by Robert Downey Jr., that Kevin Feige liked it so much, they decided to kind of pivot the direction of their MCU and make it so like secret identities aren't really a thing in their universe, with the
Mm-hmm.
exception of Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man's the one, right? Like, and also Daredevil, but like Daredevil wasn't in the movies, you know what I mean? But like, as far as the movie characters go, like everybody else is pretty public with who they are, right? Like they're just, yeah, I'm Steve.
Yeah, I mean, you also needed a way to like. Again, this is also peak Batman era, who is also a billionaire
It needs to be
superhero.
different, right? You need to
Yeah.
set it up. You need to set yourself apart from all the other superhero movies that had existed at this time. And I think that little ad lib and Kevin Feige's willingness to just go with it, I think that shows you that they knew that they were molding something, and it wasn't so fixed, right? Like you said, that they needed it to go from A to B to C to D. It was more like, here's A, and we'll figure out what B is after we see how people like A. You know what I mean? And I think that's a really cool like thing, that they were agile enough that they could pivot, in different directions from that. Like saying goes, like I read also that Phil Coulson originally in that movie, his character's name was just Agent, and he had a way smaller part. But as they were filming the movie, they noticed that Clark Gregg had such great chemistry with all of the cast that they just kept increasing his part through the movie. And I think that's amazing. Like that's so cool, because he is a really charming character in this movie that kind of steals some scenes every now and then, just slightly, like where it's like, you're such a sweetheart, like you're just a really nice guy. I like, there's almost times where I like, if I didn't know better, I was like, is he going to be a bad guy? Like I can't tell, because he was so nice. And then by the end of the movie, it's just like, oh no, that's just his signature thing. He's just constantly being as nice as he can to these people, like, and it's a really, there's so many cool characters. Like Happy, it's so fun to see how like one note Happy is in this movie, because like he's not much of a person in this movie, like he's more just like trying to keep up with Tony as best as he can. Like he's not the best friend in this movie. That's Rhodey. Rhodey is the best friend, and Terrence Howard, I will never stop singing his praises in this movie. He is awesome in this movie. And
he got top billing in this movie, right?
He got paid the most. I don't know if he got top billing, but he definitely was more expensive than anybody else in the movie. And they say that's the reason that they didn't bring him back, but it's a shame, because like they're firing on all cylinders with this supporting cast, right? Like Gwyneth Paltrow, it's before things got weird, right? So like she's
I mean, to be fair, it is before things got weird with Terrence Howard too.
Yeah, for sure. So like this is like everybody was a good get at this time, right? Like, and like Iron Man was, Robert Downey was the not safe bet. Like everybody else is a safe bet in this movie. And so it's really interesting to see like all these supporting characters. What's funny to me, and we can talk about it more whenever we watch the Hulk, but like this is me revealing a little bit of like, the inner racism monologue that I have like every now and then. I swear to God, before The Big Lebowski, I used to not be able to tell Jeff Bridges and William Hurt apart.
Really?
And so it was really hard for me to watch Iron Man, and then a couple weeks later go and watch the Hulk, and it's like, oh no, it's the other one. Like it was really weird for me to remember that as a kid I couldn't tell those two human beings apart. And Marvel went and cast both of them in their first two movies, William Hurt and Jeff Bridges. But going back and watching it now, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That was a really good performance by Jeff Bridges. Like it's Obadiah Stane is definitely not at the top of my list of cool Marvel villains that I want to see. But it works because it says, hey, look, we're not trying to like save the world in this movie. That's not where the stakes are yet. We'll get there when it's time for the Avengers. You know what I mean? Like and so I really appreciate that the stakes just slightly increase one movie at a time, right? Like, and it's cool. They're pacing themselves, right? So like the next one's the Hulk, right? Like,
yeah,
the Hulk's not trying to save himself. He's just trying to save New York from or Brooklyn from the Abomination, right? Or
pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, just like a couple blocks. Like that's what his job is, And then Iron Man 2 comes around, and that one's gonna raise the stakes a little bit more. And then Captain America, and then Thor, or something, or in that order, or whatever, or something like that. but yeah, we're going low stakes, and I think that works. I think that works for this movie. I will say, like, I don't know if you thought the not anachronisms, but like they're not anachronisms because they were accurate to their time. But like, what did you think about seeing the reference or hearing the reference to MySpace, or seeing newspapers, or seeing Iron Man's weird ass phone from back in the day?
It definitely shows how long these movies have been going on for, if anything.
Yeah. The phone weirded me out because like all of his technology is so much better than that phone that he's carrying. It was
I mean,
like,
at the time though, that was a cool ass phone.
I guess, sure. You want to know the weird? I'm not going to die on this hill, but I
Mhm.
did have my own internal struggle today with something, and I finally ended up convincing myself that it's fine. You know what I was weirded out by the most in this movie?
What?
That I've never seen a weapons manufacturer in my life have as many press conferences as that man did. Like, it was, I think press conferences are usually for the military or for the president or for when the sheriff has to talk about a missing person on TV, or a fugitive at large or something like that. Like, it was weird to see how many press conferences they held at Stark Enterprises.
Is it? I mean,
But then I thought about it and I was like, I guess if like the head of Boeing got kidnapped by the
he's
Taliban for 3 months,
is
and
he?
that
He's Elon Musk. Like that's what he is. Elon's in the second one. Like
is
it's kind of
Elon in the second one?
he's in the second movie. Yeah.
That's funny.
But it's that like it's
Yeah,
funny to looking back. Like Elon, what seems is doing. He seems to be trying to be Iron Man,
yeah,
but it's funny how like yeah, to your point, like he's yeah. I don't know if I could recall the last like Lockheed press
right.
conference that I've seen.
Yeah, but I think that the movie, I give it a pass ultimately because one, I think they're trying to establish just how influential Tony Stark is in that universe, right? Like he is like the Howard Hughes
Mhm.
of that universe, right? He's a star and he's a crazy genius and recluse and all these things at the same time. Like, so I get it. Like, I do get that. The second thing that makes it interesting is that in a movie where a dude builds an Iron Man suit in a cave and flies away, and then later on builds way more suits and flies all over the place, I thought that the press conferences were the least believable thing in the whole movie. And I think that is a testament to that movie's storytelling. I think the way they hold the audience's hand through the creation of the arc reactor, and then the repulsors, and the funny like growth of him flying or trying to fly and all that stuff, it's done so well that you just believe it, right? You just believe, yeah, the physics checks out. It's like we all have like physics degrees all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like, you're watching that movie and you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
he did his homework. This would work.
makes sense to me. Yeah, and I think that's really awesome that they did that because like I don't even think like the Spider-Man movies held our hands as effectively as that as Iron Man did through it. Like um but Spider-Man had to take like liberties by having the weird organic webs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So like, but I just was really impressed with the fact that like, wow, the press conferences is my big takeaway nitpick from this whole thing. Like, you know what? I'm gonna give it to him. I get
Not
it.
to this date, there's not that many movies um in the MCU that can stand as on their own. As like if you slice out the other MCU isms, can they be an isolated story? And I think this movie for sure, by nature, it does fit that bill. Um,
Yeah,
and it's better in some ways because of that. It's
it
the
is.
door. It cracks the door open to so many other things in this movie, but they they tell a complete story.
Yeah,
at the end of the movie, he's Iron Man.
And
think you can only,
he doesn't get the girl too, which I
doesn't
love
get the
that
girl.
too.
I think you can say it's probably about Guardians, complete movie. I would almost say Eternals is a complete movie, but that might be a stretch. Guardians 1 for sure. Maybe.
I think Captain America 1 is
Yeah.
pretty strong. Like, I'm really excited to go back and watch that one because the last time I watched it, I loved it way more than I did back in the day. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Iron Man is just like one of those standalone movies that just really, really, it ages so well.
Yeah.
It ages so well. Maybe not the part where he's talking to the soldier about her cheekbones and I couldn't tell she was a girl and stuff like that. You know, maybe that doesn't age well, but that's only like in the first 5 minutes or whatever. And so, but I think it's a really awesome movie that just keeps giving more to us as we get older. You know what I mean? Like it's cool to see how young he was too, like in that movie. You know, like he's aged a lot. Like as we've watched that man age on screen for almost 2 decades. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I cannot wait till we get to see and talk about 2.
I
Because
don't like to.
oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. See, for
And
me,
I don't like 3.
I love 3. I love all 3 of the Iron Man movies. I like it's so hard for me to rank them. I know normally I say 3 is my favorite, but on this rewatch, I ultimately think Iron Man 1, I know Frank, our former co-host always likes to rank that one up in his top 5. It's pretty close for me at this point. Like it's just that it's that good. It really, like, if you've never seen it and you watch our show for 165 episodes or however many you have, please do yourself a favor, go on Disney Plus and watch Iron Man, and then from there you can decide if you want to keep watching more of these things. But like the soundtrack, the special effects, like the practical effects, like the acting, like this movie just works, man. It just works. Like you don't even have to have read the comics to enjoy this movie. And I think that's the dream, right? Like that's the dream that I always have, is that can my friends who've never read comics come out of this movie and be like, Iron Man's rad, you know? And I know that in 2008, that is what happened. A lot of people came out of this movie and were like, dude, let's get some more Iron Man going on. And I think to make him the central character for all of phase 1 through 3 is so cool and so honoring of the accomplishment of this movie, you know. And so they never wavered from that. They're like, we know this all is built on the back of this man, this movie, and so we will never ever forget that. And I think that's the point of Doctor Doom, right? I think it's still going to be built on that. Like it's going to take all the goodwill that Iron Man's built and twist that knife, right? And make it feel weird, right? Because this whole world eventually idolizes that person's face, like that character.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I have faith that we will go multiple movies without seeing that man's face.
That would be so cool. That would be so cool.
I think you have to show it. It's inevitable. Whether he looks different, that's a entirely different story.
Give him the nose from Furiosa. Just do that. And we're good. No, I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about Iron Man?
It's a good movie. It's just there's a reason why, it again, to your point, the foundation of a multi-billion-dollar franchise. That movie, it needed to be good, and without it being just a solid movie, there would be nothing else beyond it, right? So
Yeah.
you can't take that away from it. Whatever direction the MCU goes from this point on, you may not like it, you may not love it, but Iron Man is a good movie. You can't take that away.
I like that he's just like, it's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
All right, cool. I'm done. I'm done with this. That was fun. It was really fun to rewatch that one. I look forward to the next time we have you know, the freedom to do that. Is it next week? I don't know. Like, do we don't have anything else to discuss next week, right? So
no, we can do the next one.
Are we doing the Hulk?
I think we're doing the Hulk.
Sick. That movie is definitely not as good as Iron Man. But Iron Man's in it though. And that in itself, that saved it. You know what I mean? That saved it just like when
Did that save it?
For me, it did. It did. It's just like when Batman showed up in Creature Commandos. I was like, all right, we're good now. We're good. You got Batman in here. Let's go. Let's go. So I think for me, showing me like the real true intent is, hey, we promise you these toys are going to play. So even if you don't like each individual movie, you're going to like it when they play, you know? And so I can forgive a lot of the Hulk because of the post-credit scene. And I think that's kind of the problem going forward is after Iron Man, the post-credit scene becomes like the thing.
Oh yeah.
A little too much, you know, like, so whatever. It's fine. I'm getting ahead of myself. Go enjoy your week. And thanks for everybody who tuned in to listen to us talk about a 17-year-old movie. I'm excited to talk about more 17-year-old movies. And you know, to go. We might as well just do Dark Knight after we do.
I mean, that's its own. No, you got to bring Frank on for that one.
Really? All right, we'll see about that.
All right,
cool.
With that, true believers,